Hello everybody, ConeDodger here, welcome back to Automation. Today we are going to start looking through entries to the Vector Automotive Challenge fan build competition. And that means that if you have not made your entry to the competition yet, you still have some time left until noon GMT on Thursday, which is about 8 a.m. EST, Eastern Time. And that is kind of a floating time. I'm going to basically accept entries until I get the episode up, which will be Thursday or Friday. I don't want to overly restrict anybody, and I want to get everybody's entries if they're out there. But if you haven't made your entry yet, I do request that you do not watch this episode until after you make your cars and submit them. Just going to go with the gentleman's rule for now. Since there's no prize on the line for actually having the best car, I feel okay with doing this, and I hope all of you feel the same way. But if you haven't entered, check the description below. There will be a link to the video that outlines how to enter and what the competition is and about. So go ahead and do that, and I look forward to seeing your entry. Okay, the first entry we have is going to be a variant of the Radian, and it is the BTM Every. Every Day is actually kind of an interesting name for a trim or package. It certainly, just based off the name, leads me to believe this is going to be somewhat of a non-sporty example. And Blitz Tiger has sent in some information to go along with this. Looks like he was aiming for 50 miles per gallon and a car that was eminently comfortable. Nice verbiage there. You should be a used car salesman. He did actually do this short advertising blurb. I am terrible. Here, you're getting a little behind the scenes look into the life of the ConeDodger. Ever since I was a child, I cannot read aloud. Basically, I cannot read from text while I'm speaking. So this is going to be completely butchered, and I'm sorry. Blitz Tiger Motors is proud to present your next family sedan, the BTM Everyday Vector Radian. It's effortless to drive and a joy to be in. With our state-of-the-art sat-nav system, sat-nav, there's something, we're getting a clue as to some of the changes there. You'll never get lost. The mileage is so good you'll probably forget how to put gas into it by the next time you need to fill up. And for the less serious-minded buyers, there's still... And for the less serious-minded buyers? Not sure what you're inferring there. There's still 200 horsepower of fun under the hood. I guess he's saying for you people who do like to have fun, not just save money on gas, 200 horsepower under the hood just waiting for you. So that's pretty close to what the original Radian had. Let's take a look at the engine. It is the HET. Okay, so a Turbo 4, and the original had just the NA4. Interesting. That's probably going to add to the cost. Let's look at the numbers real quick and see. Okay, going for looks like a very small, somewhat restrictive turbo, but there is a place for that. Very broad power band. It is indeed slightly less horsepower than the NA version, but with a 35% economy rating and running on regular fuel, I can see the appeal to this engine. It's using a turbo in a different way than you would normally consider it to be used, using it for ultimate economy. And with 51.4 miles per gallon, whether that figure is correct or not, that's still a lot more than the Radian's regular 31.6. Just a quick rundown here. The drivability is 57.4 versus the original 63.1. Sportiness is lower at 26 versus 28.6. Comfort is staggeringly higher at 51.2 versus 37.9. Prestige is up to 22 from 17.7. And safety. I think I wrote down the wrong number. I have 16.3 written down. I don't believe that is correct. 47.4 on this. Let me this gets a little tricky. Sometimes when you switch between trims like this, it doesn't always work, so let's look. Seems to have worked just fine today. Yes, the original safety was 47, or 46.2, so let's write that down. 46.2. Alright. Okay, well, I'm not going to break these down into the nitty-gritty today. We'll save that for the ones that get chosen to be the contracted cars, or car. If there happens to only be one, there may be multiple. We'll see. So this one, definitely going for the appeal of being super econo and super comfort, everyday driver. The name kind of fits perfectly. The cost, though, is, I would say, slightly significantly higher. You're adding about $1,000 of material cost, but to add $1,000 material cost, you're also gaining something that's different than I already produce. So Vector is not producing something that is quite like this, and that is the spirit of this competition. You're supposed to be making something that really entices us to sell you our chassis, so you can help spread the brand and improve our brand image while still having a unique product. So, pretty good job here. Certainly something we don't already produce, and could certainly fill a niche that may need to be filled. Also, an interesting bit, this car has a 0 to 60 time of 8.6. That's not a very fast number, but it is indeed faster than the base Radiant. So, despite the fact it has less power, it has more power in more places, so it can get moving a little bit better. So you're not completely losing out in your performance by going with this more everyday version of the car. I do worry that it is maybe a little bit too close to the base model, but like I said, I think there's enough in that comfort rating to make it unique. Alright, there we go. That's Blitz Tires entry. Good luck to you, and thank you very much for your entry. Next up, we're going to be looking at a different version, a different trim of the Casen. This is a favorite of mine, so I'm curious to see what people did with it. Now, the next entry is going to be from PackPat, who unfortunately probably did not get to do much to the styling of this car, even though I bet you he would love to. But let's see what he did with it. Well, hello there. Apparently he coated it in bubblegum. It's very pink. If you were looking to catch my eye, well, you did that. Alright, let's go to the trim tab and see what this thing is all about. A very lengthy email here. Let me read over it and kind of give you the gist of it. Okay, so this is the Terra Tuning Revision 2, and it appears to be along the similar lines to the last car we looked at, the last trim package. Again, going for a somewhat more economy/luxury package, but in a much different way this time it appears. Let's take a look at the stats first. Curious to see how this lies up to the original Casen. So drivability is lower, 54 from 57.3. Sportiness, 45.4 from 43.3, so up. So, whoops, I managed to let myself run out of hard drive space right there. So, where was I? I think I just said that the sportiness was at 45.4, and that is up from 43.3. Comfort is at 41.8 from a 40.1. Prestige is at 35.7 from a 32. So, those three are up. Safety is 55.9 from a 55.3. Here's a big one. Miles per gallon is at 30.1 from 19. Total cost is 16.6. Total cost of the regular Casen is 15.7. So almost $1,000 in materials added to this vehicle. And going off the email, it looks like he has done some pretty major engine changes using a advanced low pressure turbo system to get us to that 500 horsepower mark again, but this time with a 24.3% economy rating. It's not the 30+% we had on that last engine. However, that last engine wasn't making 502 horsepower, so still rather impressive. I'm guessing there's also some changes amongst the other aspects, yeah, it looks like we got some braking changes, maybe some transmission changes and such. Massive amounts of overdrive, so there's some trickery going on here to get those miles per gallon. But it does work, it is effective, and this is an interesting approach. I was really hoping some people would take this approach rather to the Super Tuner version or versions that you would sell as your own car. You know, when you go to buy like I keep going back to them, but like a Hennessy Venom, you go to Hennessy and you buy a Venom. But for something like this, you might come to the Vector dealership and say, hey, I really like this Casen. Do you have anything with maybe a little bit better economy, a little bit more comfort and sportiness? You know, I have a couple thousand more to put into this thing. Do you have something a little bit more? And we'd say, sure. We would then go to Terra Tuning and say, hey, we got a customer, make one of these cars and we'll sell it and we'll warranty it, etc. So that's kind of how this kind of relationship would work, and that is a very good thing to have. It's a nice thing to have in our back pocket as a car company. So this, again, a very interesting one to have in the works, and we will see if it makes the cut, if we decide to send a contract out to PackBet on a breaking the third wall level. Thanks to PackBet for your continued support of the role-playing aspect that is this series. There's a lot of tuning competitions, there's a lot of car building competitions, stuff in automation. Not many do I see take the approach that I'm kind of outlaying here that's very role-play based. It's not necessarily about building the perfect car every time. It's about kind of going along with the story. So thank you for your continued support, and good luck in the contest. Alright, next up we're sticking with the Casen, and we're going to stick with another long-time supporter of the channel, and that is the Tom, who has decided to take a little bit more of a performance approach to the Casen. So if we go over here to the trim, he did indeed replace the engine, so let's see. It is a straight 6, and once again with the water-cooled turbo setup. I'm not going to go too in-depth here, but just a brief look through it. Looks like we are going again for a super high economy setup. Lots of people going for these all of a sudden. That seems to be the theme in automation at the moment. Going for these super economy performance engines. Not to say they're not cool. At 531 horsepower, that is a massive torque curve too. 2,000 RPM, you're making max torque. This is as close to a diesel as you're going to get, I think. Without diesel, anyway. Let's go to the trim tab. Let's see what kind of numbers we have. It looks like we are pretty similar in drivability. Pretty similar in sportiness. Up in comfort. A little bit up in prestige. And significantly up in safety. Economy is at 24.1 versus the 19. Wowzers. Total cost is at $20,824. So $5,000-ish more dollars to produce this vehicle. So it really needs to have something well above and beyond the regular sport wagon version. So let's see what that might be. Acceleration, that's certainly above and beyond, a 3.70 to 60 time versus the regular 4.5. And 11.94 quarter mile. This is more in line, I think, with the super tuner kind of mentality. It may look a little confusing. The sportiness did not come up significantly from the regular one, but it's kind of the how do I put this? It's the buyer for this car is looking for gas pedal performance. They want quarter mile times, they want super high top speeds, they want the kind of brash on the street super sleeper kind of stuff. They want that kind of package, and that is where I would say this kind of model would come into play. So that is, let's see, let's go back to the email real quick, see if I see anything So Tom says that I did replace the engine, but overall it's not only faster, it's easier to drive, more comfortable, and more economical. Plus the new engine has a load of potential for tuning, which I felt like the 5-liter NA did not. I could see that. I don't know why just turboing the V8 wouldn't be the way you go. But straight sixes certainly do have their place, and they have their advantages. It looks like there's not a lot of room left in that engine bay, so it really shoehorned in there. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I can buy into that. So it's not an unreasonable thing to go for a 6-cylinder. But the cost, I think, is the main hoop to get through right now. Is $5,000 additional just production money going to be enough to get our buyers to want to put this package on their car? Maybe it will be. We'll have to see. Next up, we're going to have a Vextron trim, and this is the CDR21M Twin Turbo. So this is from Pt.1, who did another one of these press release kind of things. I will try to read. It's a little bit long, so I may ad-lib some of it. The Vextron CDR21M Turbo Twin Turbo is an upgrade package from 21 Motorsports. See, there's kind of what I was talking about before. This is another one of those kind of package deals that we would sell, and 21 Motorsports would then build the car, and we would still sell the car. The basis of this package revolves around a specifically designed turbo kit. It has a ball bearing 4848 turbo, which I guess I don't know what that means, running 8.8 pounds of boost, so that's not obnoxious. That's certainly not like race car numbers or anything like that. Runs on 93 octane. It has a very nice 2700 to 7300 RPM boost, full boost line, so from very low and continues all the way to redline. The package also includes reworked initial cam and VVL profiles, for max efficiency and response while keeping the power band as natural as possible. While the basis of this kit is primarily for bolt-on applications, there is also a 5.4 liter option which increases the bore and stroke of the standard 5.0 engine. With this setup, the CDR21M twin turbo produces 518 horsepower at 7,503 foot-pounds of torque, and fuel economy figures as high as 30.8 miles per gallon. All these figures produced with a 5.4 liter with standard compression ratio, internals, and 93 octane tune. Again, sorry, I'm very, very bad at reading and talking. So let's take a look at this engine, why don't we? Looks like this is the 5.4 liter version, and it does use, again, with the undersized turbos. I see a lot of people using these undersized turbos. Very interesting. That may be something that I need to look into in the future. But you see this red on here, and your brain goes, no, you're doing something wrong. But maybe that's actually a good option. Looks like the economy rating's at 23.13. Not bad. And trim-wise, let's take a look at some stats. So the original CDR Vextron 2.0 had 488 horsepower. This one's up to 518, which isn't a crazy number to go up to. It is just a nice increase. And the first thing I want to see is cost. 14,439 was my cost. 14,516 is his. So this is a pretty inexpensive kind of bolt-on package. Well, I would say it's a bolt-on package, but when you're going into engine internals and stuff like that, I guess it's not necessarily a bolt-on package, but something we would send off, they would send it back, and we would sell the car. So our original drivability was 46.2. It's down here to 39.4, so this is a much sportier version. Sportiness is up to 56 from 48. Comfort is actually up to 28.8 from 27.1. Much more prestige, 32.6 from 29.4. Safety stays about the same. Like I said, the cost is, just slightly higher. And the miles per gallon did indeed come up. I'm seeing a lot of that with these turbo setups. People are able to get some pretty crazy, extreme mile per gallon ratings out of twin turbo V8s. The realism of that is up for debate, but it's still out there. It's still an option, so I will accept it. An interesting bit here, the top speed is very high, 205 miles per hour. Quarter mile is okay to 13.4 or 13.14, but the 0 to 60 of a 5.7 is actually slower than the regular CDR, which is a 5.5. I am guessing there is some extreme wheel spin going on here, thanks to all that low-end torque and power, so that is something to look for. And also we've added a bunch of weight to the front of the car, so 58 to 42 is now this car's weight distribution, so things to look at. But overall, this is a nice, I would say, entry-level performance package for the Vector Vextron. And yeah, that is pretty much what it would be sold as. Thank you, ConeDodgerYT fan, for your entry, and good luck in the competition. I think that's going to be all of the entries I have time to look at for today. Hopefully, let's see, today is Tuesday. Depending how many come in tonight, I may do another one tomorrow, or I may wait till Thursday, so we'll see. But thanks as always for watching, thanks again for your entries, and I will see you next time.